You're tuning to Relationship Wednesday, where we expose the lies, set fire to the bullshit, and show you what real love should actually feel like. This is the Bad Influence Podcast, the one they warn you about. I'm your host, Jordan Banderas, and today we're cutting through manipulation, codependency, and toxic patterns with a machete. If you're tired of walking on eggshells in your relationship, it ends now. Raw truth, real growth. Let's get into it. Guys, today's for the guys. Let's get something straight, shall we? A paycheck doesn't make you a man. It makes you responsible, sure, but responsibility isn't leadership. Any man can work. Any man can pay bills. But not every man can lead. Because leadership requires presence. It demands direction. It takes the kind of backbone that can be bought with overtime. You think your value lives in your income. But your family is starving for something deeper. Your intention. She doesn't need a hero. No, she doesn't. She needs a man with a vision. A man who can walk into chaos and bring calm. A man who knows where he's going and isn't afraid to say, "Follow me." Because money builds comfort, but presence builds trust. It's true. It is absolutely true. I've seen it with my own relationship. And if you have listened to my podcast, at this point you already know that I have gone through a lot in my marriage. And this is the one thing that I have learned in the last almost 11 years of marriage. So be honest with yourself. When you say you're doing your best, what does that even mean? Working long hours? Paying bills? Fixing problems? That's not leadership. That's maintenance. You can keep the lights on and still leave everyone in the dark emotionally. You can fund a home and still fail to lead it. Your paycheck might build the walls, but your silence creates the distance. Because the real question isn't how much do you make? No, it is not. It's how much of you shows up when it matters the most. When she's breaking down, do you show up or shut down? When life tests your patience, do you lead with composure or collapse under pressure? You can't fix what you're afraid to face. Let's be honest. Leadership doesn't mean controlling everything. It means anchoring it. You don't have to have all the answers, and I want you to understand that. You don't, because you will never have all the answers. But you do have to have direction. Because when a man stops leading, guess what happens? Just guess. The relationship stops growing. And when a relationship stops growing, it starts dying quietly. It's true. I've seen it. It has happened to me in the past, and I see a lot of you doing this. And then you guys complain, I don't know what happened with my relationship. I went to work 12-hour days. I brought income and everything, but it was never enough for her. I have heard that from friends, from people that I know, even people at my own job. But let me ask you this. Who taught you what being a man was supposed to look like? Maybe it was a father who worked hard but never spoke. A man who led with labor, not love. You thought silence was strength, didn't you? You thought distance meant dignity, didn't you? You thought emotions made you weak, didn't you? You were told that leadership was about providing, not connecting. That feelings were feminine. That real men don't talk, they work. But here's the truth. If your presence doesn't bring peace, your paycheck doesn't matter at all. Because probation without connection is just survival with better furniture. You can buy comfort. Yes, you can. You can buy it, but not connection. You can provide shelter. Yes, you can, but still feel alone under your own roof. You can feed everyone's body, but starve their soul. Leadership isn't just about paying for dinner. It's about bringing direction to the table. There was a time I thought I was doing everything right as a man. I worked long hours. I brought home the paycheck. I kept the lights on. I handled business. And I really believed that was enough. Yes, I did. I thought leadership meant providing. As long as the bills were paid, I was doing my job. Yes, I was. That's how I felt. But life has a funny way of humbling you when you think you've got it figured out. Life, right? When it hits you, it hits you. Because one day, all that money, all that providing, stopped meaning anything. My wife was breaking down emotionally, mentally, physically. And for the first time, I couldn't throw a paycheck at the problem. I couldn't fix it with overtime or a bonus or a new plan. I remember sitting there, watching her cry, feeling completely useless. Not because I didn't love her, but because I didn't know how to show up without trying to fix everything. I didn't know how to lead without money in the equation. And that's when it hit me. It hit me hard. I had built my identity around being a provider, not a partner. I was clocking in for work every single day, but clocking out of my marriage without realizing it. I thought I was helping by taking everything on my shoulders. And many of you are doing that right now. But really, I was shutting her out. I was carrying the weight for her when what she needed was for me to carry it with her. I didn't need to save her. I needed to stand beside her. I needed to bring leadership, not labor, direction, not distraction. So, I changed. I stopped trying to be the man who fixes everything, and I became the man who listens, the man who plans, the man who communicates the vision, not just the budget. We started talking again, not just about bills or schedule, but about us, about what we wanted, where we were going, what we were building together. And that's when I learned something that every man has to face eventually. A paycheck doesn't build a home. Presence does. Because once I show up with direction instead of defensiveness, she didn't need me to provide. She needed me to lead. And that's when everything shifted. We stopped surviving and started building. So let's be real. You, as a man right now, you equate exhaustion with leadership You wear burnout like a badge. You think being tired means you're doing enough. But being overworked doesn't make you respected. It makes you replaceable. Because effort without direction isn't leadership. It's chaos on a time card. You keep saying, I do everything for my family. But what you're really saying is, I don't know how to connect without producing. You're terrified of being irrelevant unless you're working. But your worth doesn't live in what you produce. It lives in who you become. And right now, your family doesn't need more money. No, it doesn't. They need more meaning. They need your attention, your presence, your leadership. And right now, more than ever, with everything that's going on, with the economy, with everything that is going on outside of your control, your family needs your leadership. And here's the thing. Leadership isn't about control, and I want you to understand that. It's about consistency. It's not about power, it's about purpose. Because a true man doesn't lead by dominance. He leads by direction. He's not loud, he's clear. He doesn't demand respect, he earns it through consistency. She doesn't want a man who controls her. She wants a man who grounds her. Because the moment you speak peace into chaos, she starts breathing again. And not a lot of men can do that right now. I know you are stressed out of your mind. You're letting the world beat the shit out of you. And you're taking it out on the one person who's gonna be there for you when everything crumbles. But you're pushing her away. You think she's nagging, but she's begging for direction. Not what should I do, but where are we going? If you don't speak the vision, she'll fill the silence herself. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Leadership dies in homes when men stop communicating. Yeah, it's true. It happens. I have heard a lot of people that have gotten divorced, and I see this on Reddit stories and online stories because I joined those type of forums to get an idea what to talk about on the podcast. And the consensus is we got divorced because we stopped communicating. We couldn't talk to each other. I didn't know what I was doing. She was nagging me. He just was working 18-hour days. He was never home. And when you're not home, guess what happens? There's no chance to communicate. Because when you stop sharing your vision, you stop creating safety. When you avoid the hard talks, she starts carrying what you were built to lead. And eventually, she'll stop following because no one follows a ghost. Leadership means facing what's uncomfortable before it becomes unfixable. That's true. It is so true. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. You don't need all the answers. You need direction. So stop being reactive. Start being intentional. So what does real leadership look like? That's a good question. It looks like clarity, calm, consistency. It's not about having all the answers. It's about being the answer when everything else feels uncertain. It's listening when it's easier to argue. It's standing firm when everyone else falls. You want to lead? I'm sure you do. Because you were told that you have to lead in your relationship, you have to lead in life because you're a man. Right? So if you want to lead, start by learning to listen, because leadership isn't about talking over her. It's about understanding her. You can't build trust without curiosity. You can't inspire direction without communication. A grounded man isn't loud. He's intentional. When she looks at you, she doesn't want perfection. She wants stability. There's a difference between those two. She wants to know that when things fall apart, you won't. That you can observe the chaos and still say, we'll figure this shit out. We'll get through that storm. That's what she wants to hear, because that's presence. That's leadership. It is. So, what can you do right now to reclaim your role as a leader in your relationship? First, get clear on your vision. If you don't know where you're leading, no one will follow. Second, communicate it. If you don't know how to do that, that's fine. Don't assume she knows what you're building. Tell her. If you don't know how to say it, write it down first. And then come up with the right words so you can explain it later to her. Third, live it. Every damn day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because consistency builds confidence, and confidence creates connection. So stop waiting for the world to validate your manhood. Start embodying it. Be the calm in the chaos. Be the logic in the storm. Be the fire that lights direction when everything's dark. Stop proving your love with money. Prove it with presence. Because love without leadership collapses under its own confusion. You can buy her comfort. Sure, you can. But not her trust. You can fund her life, but not her faith in you. Because money doesn't lead. It distracts. She doesn't want your paycheck. She wants your presence, your discipline, your direction, your conviction. A real man doesn't lead with control. He leads with clarity. He doesn't dominate. He demonstrates. He doesn't preach. He practices. He doesn't demand respect. He earns it every sunrise, through action, through steadiness, through the courage to guide when it's hardest. Stop mistaking money for meaning. Stop confusing income with impact. Your worth isn't in your wallet. It's in your wisdom. Be the man with presence, the man with direction, the man who leads when others hide. Because a paycheck fades, but leadership leaves a legacy. And that legacy, that's what she'll follow. That's what your children will remember. Not what you bought, but who you became. And remember, the choice is yours. And that's it for today. If this episode peeled back the mask on your relationship, don't ignore it. You deserve more than crumbs. Draw the damn line. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss the truth bombs that actually change lives. Share this with someone who needs to wake up to real love, not manipulation. This is the Bad Influence Podcast. Until next time, know your worth. Speak your truth. Never flinch, and have a great day.